Detroit in black and white. I'm Adolph Mongo, and we are broadcasting live from the Adolph Hotel in downtown Detroit. Vanessa Moss,
good morning,
attorney and fire starter Vanessa Moss.
Good morning, Detroit Black and White
Allan
viewers and Allan Adolph,
co-founder Deadline Detroit. How y'all doing?
All right.
Okay, this is a nice hotel, a great hotel.
Yeah.
It's going through some renovations. And on Thursdays at Bourbon Garden, they got music, they got dancing, cash bar, Grand Circus Park right across the street from 5 to 9. They're doing it here.
They have entertainment here on Friday.
Right, they said they were. They said they were stepping. The guy came in here as we were stepping.
No.
He said,
Marvin, you hear that?
They said they were stepping last night. Said they had about 100 people.
What?
And he said they was jamming.
How we missed
Well,
that?
he was in the hotel. He's from Inkster, and he wanted to know what we was doing. And he said this was a great hotel, great area. Last night was hopping. Say it was hopping out
I
there.
could have taken the people move over here last night.
You could have. But anyway, let's get right down to it. I'll go to you, Vanessa. Your outrage of the week.
So, believe it or not, I'm not going to have an outrage of the week today. What I want to do is say this. I am a bit peeved that people do not acknowledge Father's Day the way that they acknowledge Mother's Day. I don't particularly, there's nobody on this earth that's not flawed, right? And so
Except Adolph. Let's be honest.
I think it is important that we recognize and acknowledge Father's Day, because if we didn't have fathers, you wouldn't have us sitting here. So I want to give out a shout out to all of the fathers, biological fathers, stand in the gap fathers. I want to wish every one of you happy Father's Day.
Okay, well, you see 3 men up here. We not fathers.
4. I see 4 men.
Oh, I'm talking about up here. You going to the audience. I'm going to say here other.
You're right.
And Marvin, happy Father's Day. Anyway, Allan, that was good.
Thank you.
My outrage of the week is we talked about yesterday on the other show that we do. Is about Hamtramck. Hamtramck in 2021 became the first, probably in the United States, first all Muslim city council, which I thought was great. I thought it was really cool. There's a lot in Hamtramck. We've got a lot of folks from Yemen and Bangladesh who are Muslim, and so they voted, I believe, on Tuesday to ban the pride flag on any public properties. And here I have a little video from the city council meeting, which is interesting.
But we will have the world in 2 straight miles. So it's a little bit, it's covert, so it's not right on the nose.
Big displays of public disapproval for the proposed resolution, followed by a very public display of affection.
I'm all for removing the gay pride flag, because you know what? Let me tell you something. This is America. I have the right to say I'm against the gay pride flag. If anyone has an issue with it, they could go kick rocks.
Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, here's a group, particularly, Muslims after September 11th in this country. There was a lot of discrimination and attacks on their religion. And they were the minority. Now they've become the majority, and they go from the discriminated to the discriminators. And I think it's, look, you have to have a sensitivity. It's like, as Jews and blacks, it's like, we were treated sometimes less than human. My parents were
black. I'm African American.
Well, okay. But look, my parents were in my mother was in Auschwitz. Her parents were cremated. They were put in the gas chambers and stuff, treated like animals. Slavery, treated like animals. So when one group is discriminated, like the Muslims have been discriminated against, and then to come back and discriminate against another group and trying to make them subhuman and not, is shameful.
So let me say this though. You know what? It's their religious belief. And
But not the government though.
Well, listen, they put these people in office and
Well,
they decided that's what they want to do.
But if you wake
I'm just
up,
saying,
but
this
if
is
you
the
wake up,
conversation.
but if you wake up,
This is the
and the city
conversation.
council says, in order to come to Detroit, if you white or if you black, you gotta have a card to get in, an identification card. Now,
We do have identification cards.
no, but not, you
We
know
have-
what I'm talking
we have
about.
driver-
No, I'm not talking about that.
I
You
know
know
that.
about
I'm just-
apartheid. The bottom line is, when the colonies in Africa, when England and France and Spain and Portugal colonized all these countries and they finally got their independence, these folks that took over, I'm talking about head of the government, they became worse than the people that they kicked out.
Right.
And
Well,
so it always happens.
It's the thing is with religion. I mean, look, they have their beliefs.
Right.
Nobody has to. But it's in this country, even in Christianity, there's a constant battle over trying. The Christian right trying to stop gay marriages, to try to against abortion, saying, hey, that's against our religion, and therefore God. And people use God. I mean, look, people kill each other all over the world in the name of God. They use bigotry in the name of God. And you know what?
Kill the Africans in the name of God.
And that's why we have
slavery in the name of God.
And that's why we have separation of church and state.
Right. So this is what I suspect is going to happen, because this is the same group of people who, they were talking about they couldn't pray right there in Hamtramck. It was a whole controversy about that. And now they're able to do it. So I suspect that because people are really passionate about this. And wait a minute, we just had Pride Festival last weekend here downtown.
Listen.
I suspect that it's going to change.
Listen, Dennis Archer, when he was the mayor, he sent Benny Napoleon into Palmer Park. Palmer Park was predominantly gay couples and stuff. They started trapping people. You know what the gay community did? They packed their fucking bags and they moved to Ferndale. They saved Ferndale. Ferndale was dead. Then they was losing kids. First, Ferndale didn't want any Detroit kids. They didn't want anything. But people was dying off, and the gays came. And now you can't even buy a house in Ferndale.
And now it's Hazel Park. But yeah, it's. I mean, we have to respect religious beliefs, but those religious beliefs can't dictate our government.
No.
And they can't. And people in the name of God, I've seen in every religion where they are bigoted or biased toward other people because they're not like them. We see it even. I mean, in some of the Sunni and Shiite Muslim in the Middle East. Killing
Catholic
each other and the Christians, the Chaldeans.
So you live in Hamtramck, same-sex couple, and you decide to put a flag in your house. What are they going to do?
Nothing.
Well, you can put it in your house. You just can't put it on public property. If you put it on the sidewalk, or
what
you put it.
So even if I do it, what you gonna do? Nothing. They don't even have enough police to police.
Well,
okay?
but
they're not going to do anything.
But they is just screwed up.
Yeah.
Let's move on. My outrage is Marvin Winans. He'll cut some kind of deal with the fucking city.
He was on Mackinac Island
wait
at
a
the
minute,
last minute.
begging, right? But he did something because Conrad Mallett, the court counsel, they dropped in a lawsuit. They said, oh, they can get financing. What is going to be another 15 years? They're going to try to rival Barcelona for how long it takes to build a church.
Well, how long are they going to give them? Do you know?
Oh, it's open-ended.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
There's no limit.
Well, at least in the neighborhood, Dutch Girl Donuts is coming back, so maybe that'll help. But
whatever.
Listen, they clean it, and the other outrage.
Dutch Girl Donuts.
Listen, the other outrage is that they cleaning up that area because of the golf tournament. Why don't they fucking clean up the area anyway? Why don't they cut the grass? Why don't they clean the streets? You know what? Detroit just got it ass backwards when it's not in your
That
neighborhood.
area has been so. I mean, they've knocked down a lot of homes, but it was blighted for so. It looked horrible. They're burned out homes and vacant homes. I think they've gotten rid of a lot of it, but still, what do you have?
Let's see if they
And
finish
then
it.
you had people that didn't want Amazon to build a warehouse over there. You got people don't want to do anything.
Right.
There was complaints. You know, the neighborhood watch out in Courtown and downtown.
Right.
They was complaining that Taylor Swift brought too many people into Detroit. I'm like, damn, Taylor Swift brought millions of dollars. I don't even know not one damn song that she sang. But everybody making money off of Taylor Swift. Just read with her father cut a secret deal and got 15 million.
Right.
And she didn't even know about it.
Right.
Wow.
You know, they stole her music. I mean, listen, man.
Wow.
The girl is a money maker.
She is. And you know what? People should not be complaining about money coming into the city or coming into any community. I mean, we need that influx of cash. And we've had it for the last 2 weeks. We had the Grand Prix. We had a lot of people here. We had Taylor Swift and Pride last week. So, you know, keep it coming.
But I remember when Sheila Cochran and them was running the council, and you know, The Wire and The Corner in Baltimore.
Right.
We had a homicide on the street. She said, I hope none of these shows ever come to the show. We don't need, I'm like, damn, they don't want anything. You know what? We don't want to be known as crime is every day.
We had Detroit 187, which only lasted a year, and then we had AMC's Low Winter Sun, which again only lasted a year.
Well, we in the hotel. That, you know, that's a dog. Yes. Ain't no question.
We're not in the studio, and that's okay.
Let's take a break.
All right, let's go.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. There are payment plans available to help save your property. Visit our website at treasurer.waynecounty.com or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com for further information. We're here to help.
Okay, we are back. We're we're closing the door here in the studio, but we're going to bring him on here. We've got Luther Keith, who heads up Arise Detroit. And Luther was my editor at the Detroit News for a while, and a great editor, and actually a very great guy, and the nephew of the late Damon Keith, the judge Damon Keith.
Good morning, Luther.
Good morning.
Hey, Adolph, good to see you. Allan, thank you for your kind words. You didn't say that when you were working for me. That's okay.
Nah, you know, we forget. We push away.
Listen, Luther, I still remember that story you did on me. Kilpatrick credit flip flops.
I wrote a story like that.
You had people mad at me.
Those were the old days, Adolph.
Yeah. No, but Luther was the state editor at the time when I was in the Lansing Bureau.
Yeah.
One of the state editors.
Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah. And Luther really was. It was great to work with. I loved working with you.
Likewise.
I might have told you that at the time, even, but Luther, you tell us a little bit about, for people who don't know about Arise Detroit, and tell us about the big event that you have coming later this summer.
Right. Thanks, and again, thanks to you and Adolph for having me on. Arise Detroit was an idea I formulated as I was navigating my way to my next step from leaving the newspaper business, and after covering a lot of stories. I was a columnist, senior editor columnist for the last couple of years. Now I would write stories about things that might help the city, and Black residents would say, "That's a good idea, Luther. Who's going to do it?" And then some of the white readers would say, "Why aren't Black folks doing anything to help their city?" And it occurred to me after, and of course, growing up here in Detroit, that we had lots of people all over the city who were doing organizations, churches, block clubs, but people even weren't seeing the evidence of their work, or their stories were not being told. And so somehow the idea came to me. And again, I only have one liberal arts degree, so I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but sharp enough to where this idea came to me that to create an organization to motivate people, not to create a new organization. We got all kind of organizations to feed, clothe, shelter, teach people to read. So not to create a new organization, but to motivate more people to get involved in the organizations we already have.
Right.
Step up, get engaged. And as the work is done, tell the stories of these people. Attach it to a communication medium. Every movement had a communication medium. You had smoke signals. You had internet. You had drums. Even the Bible. The Bible is all about the story being told. So you have to tell the story. And I often say the media is particularly today is the most powerful force on the planet. The media in all its form is the most powerful force on the planet. So my idea by creating Arise Detroit, and Arise is an acronym. It stands for Activating Resources, Inspiring Service, and Empowerment, was to get to inspire people to get involved and get engaged, to join that block club, to look out for their neighbor, to get involved in maybe a literacy program or a volunteer program. You don't have to do a huge thing, but you can do something. And you have to recognize the fact. I often say, I attribute it to my mother because it sounds better, but somehow I picked up this phrase, Jesus is coming, but he's probably not coming tonight. Okay, he's probably not coming tonight, and the cavalry is not coming either. So in many cases, we have to be the cavalry. And so,
what kind of activities do y'all have?
Well, again, Adolph, here's the point: that we want to remember: Arise Detroit doesn't do the activities. The people in the community do the activities. We did not create a program to do stuff. There are people already out here doing stuff. Our focus is to get people to engage in all kinds of block clubs and community associations and church programs that are already out here. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to create a program to teach people to read. Well, there's lots of those already. I'm going to create a program to feed people. There's lots of those already. So get engaged. So what we do, our partner organizations do everything you can imagine. We have literacy partners. We have gleaners, people who work with gleaners partners. We have all kinds of block clubs, community associations. They're doing all kinds of things. So Rise Detroit goal was to get engaged where you are. Get engaged where you are. There's a block club or somebody that can use your help. So look around and get engaged. So that's what we've been able to do with the Rise Detroit. We started with 55 organizations. Our first year was 2006. We now have partners. 400 organizations have worked with us along.
So Luco, I come to you and I say, hey, I want to do some tutoring. You say, okay, I've got these 5 organizations here.
Exactly. Like Manpower Mentoring. Otis Bellinger has a great called Manpower Mentoring. Otis Bellinger has been doing it for years. He's tutoring young boys. So we've got the organization. So you can come to us and we will connect you to the organization, to the activity. Again, we are not trying to reinvent the wheel. We have Detroiters all over the city doing everything you can imagine already. So find one of them, get engaged. And fortunately, we've been able to get people involved in talking about our upcoming event. This is our 17th year for Rise Detroit Neighborhood Day. No other city in America does this. No other city. Matter of fact, Kwame Kilpatrick, one of the great things that he did do, in 2007, he issued a mayoral proclamation in the city of Detroit, officially making the first Saturday of every August officially known as a Rise Detroit Neighborhoods Day. So we've got a mayoral proclamation making this day an official day for the city of Detroit. And what this day is, Detroit, we love the great events. We have the PGA coming here. We have the big events downtown. We have the NASCAR races and all Grand Prix and all that. And we're all conditioned, go downtown to the big festival. Everybody go downtown and do something. But at Rise Detroit, we flipped the script entirely. We said, don't go downtown. Do it in your neighborhood. We hear it on the talk shows. People call in, why ain't doing this in the neighborhoods? Why ain't he doing that in neighborhoods? The neighborhoods are doing stuff. They're all over. So we told on Neighborhoods Day, and again, we want to emphasize people, these block clubs and community organizations, they're doing this all year long. Nobody pays attention. They don't get on the front page for that. But we said on this day, we're going to put the spotlight on the work these people do all year. It's like Allan and Adolph, your parents love you all year, but on your birthday, you get a chocolate cake. Neighborhoods Day is a chocolate cake for all the people in all these neighborhood groups. We're going to have over 100 community service projects all over the city, from 8 Mile Road to downtown, midtown, southwest Detroit, north end, you name it. all kinds of organizations. We're going to have health fairs. We have cleanups. We're going to have parades, festivals, concerts, churches, block clubs. People from the suburbs come in and help out and volunteer. And it's really a magnificent day. And these events are all over the city. And you have to reprogram people's minds, because people hear about neighbors. The first thing they say is, where's it going to be? Where's it going to be? Well, it's going to be all over the city. Or people tell you, what should I do? You do what you want to do. Where should I do it? Where you want to do it? What time should I do it? What time you want to do it? It's a decentralized program. We don't tell people what to do. The people and the neighbors are in charge of this event. It's not run by the city of Detroit. It's not run by a foundation. It's run by a little bitty nonprofit organization with the board, with people who really believe in their city. And it's not a passing, fancy thing. So I'd like to say, Arise Detroit is not an idea whose time has come. It's an idea that the people want to come to. Because otherwise we would not be here. And it is also a great day of hope, because people don't do this kind of stuff if they don't have hope. So where we are right now, Allan and Adolph, is we're registering people for Neighborhood Today, which is August 5th. Go to our website, arisedetroit.org. It's arisedetroit.org. You can register. There's a $50 registration fee. Because of the support of our sponsors, we're able to provide banners, T-shirts, underwrite vouchers for cleanup projects. We have a relationship with one of the hardware chains here in the city of Detroit. So we give people a $100 voucher. You walk in that hardware store, you lay that voucher down, you walk out with $100 in supplies. You have the banner for organization, you have your T-shirts. We put you on our website. We have great media partners. And again, that's why being here, I so appreciate that.
Again, besides the activity, I know you got bands and probably barbecues and all that kind of stuff. In terms of cleaning up the city, fixing up things, what are some of those kind of activities?
They're all, and all this will be posted on our website next week. We've already got about 50 registrations. We have well over 100 by the time our deadline reaches July 15th to register. But again, these are all individual community projects by community groups. So there's the Winship Block Club, Community United for Progress, all these individual organizations. When you go to our website, arisedetroit.org, you'll find every event listed. You'll find who's running the event. You'll find out what they want to do. You can find out if they need volunteers. So you can go directly to our website, arisedetroit.org, go down the list and say, that looks interesting. I would like to do that. So again, this is a decentralized way of doing this. It's not some big organization saying, everybody do this. You are in charge. The people in the neighborhoods are in charge. That's what makes this thing so unique.
That's great. Vanessa Moss, one of our co-hosts here, has a question for you.
Sure.
I want to pivot from Arise Detroit. Good morning. I mean, you were on our show before, so I'm familiar with Arise Detroit, but I want to pivot a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk to you about your artistry.
Oh, I was expecting
Mr. Blues Man.
Well,
Blues Man, what's going on with that, and when are you performing, and where are you performing?
Well, just thank you for that commercial advertisement. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, for the past 23, 24 years, I've had a second career as a professional blues musician here in Detroit. And under the name of, don't laugh, Luther Badman Keith, because I had to have a nickname when I started playing blues.
That's what we called you in the office.
Other things too, but we won't talk about that. But actually, my story of Vanessa is very different, because I never played music growing up. I wanted to be a pro baseball player, actually. And I didn't pick up the guitar until I was in my 30s. I never picked up music. And I started dabbling it, started going to jam sessions. And after a period of time, someone said, you're starting to sound pretty good. And I formed a band. I got an opportunity to go play in Europe. And when I came back, people started booking me to play. So I kind of have two lives. But to answer your question, my website for my music is lutherkeithblues.com. I actually happen to be performing this Wednesday, June 21st, at the women's organization called Boss Blue in Midtown Detroit. It's a midday concert from 3 to 6 p.m. and their address is 110 East Ferry, and you can find that on my website, lutherkeithblues.com. But Vanessa, to answer your question, the music has really kind of changed my life in a lot of ways. I made so many great friends because music brings people together. Yeah. If you listen to music, they don't care how much money you make. They don't care what you look like. They say, you like that, I like that. Let me buy you a beer and let's talk. So music is a great way of bringing people together. And I happen to gravitate toward blues, but all kinds of music. And Detroit's a great town. And it's really kind of blows my mind that I'm even playing music because, again, I was the most non-musical person you could ever imagine. I used to think you'd have to be like Stevie Wonder, like a genius to play music. What I realized is if an alcoholic can learn how to play a guitar. but
you played at Burt's. I've seen you.
I played at Burt's. I played at Baker's. Some of the festivals. I'm going to be playing at the Kimmy Jazz Festival in August. They booked me for that. And but I'm just like a guy who worked hard. I'm not a genius. The one thing that helped me in my music, Vanessa, is that because I made my living with words, I could write songs very easily. I've done 5 CDs of all original music, and I've won a Detroit Music Award for songwriting.
Wow!
But words and music came easily. There's a lot of great musicians, but they can't write. They aren't songwriters.
Right. Let me ask you this: why blues?
Blues because it touches your soul. Matter of fact, a lot of people have a misconception about blues, and they think blues is just because you're sad and you're down. But just think of it like this: if you come to one of my shows and say, "Luther, I had a great time. I feel so depressed," that's not what I want to hear. I often say this. I put this on my Facebook page. We play our blues so you can lose your blues. Blues is so you can release what's bothering you. It's not to make you feel sadder. It's help you get through the sadness, help you get through the difficulty, help you overcome. And that is what blues does for me and for so many people. That's why it's really a powerful thing. It's an amazing thing. And I'm really amazed at the response I get. Sometimes I just out in the queue because some people just know me from playing music. They don't know me from anything else. And some people just know me from Arise Detroit. Every now and then, those two worlds will come together.
And I know you from the newspapers.
Right.
And my first band, Allan, was called the JOA Blues Band, which was a bunch of reporters and editors trying to play music.
I remember that. I got a quote. I have a quote from Jon Stewart, who says, "We've come from the same history, 2,000 years of persecution. We've just expressed our sufferings differently. Blacks developed the blues. Jews complained. We just never thought of putting it to music."
I'm not going to go that far.
But anyway, in closing, Luther, what do you want to tell our audience?
Well, most importantly, I want people to register for Neighborhood Today. Be part of this great day. So go to our website, arisedetroit.org. That's arisedetroit.org. It's a $50 registration fee. You can pay by credit card, debit card, or send us a check. Put in information about what you want to be doing on Neighborhood Today on August the 5th. And even some folks who can't do it on August the 5th, as long as you're doing it in August, you can still go ahead and register. We'll promote you, we'll market you, we'll give you your Rise Detroit t-shirts. And it's a great day. On Neighborhood Today, I literally get in my car and drive all over the city to see as many events as I can. And everybody is smiling on that day. They aren't complaining about this. And not that we don't have things to complain about, but this is a day to celebrate for people. I call it a day of neighborhood pride and neighborhood power.
Hey, to clarify, when you're talking about the $50 registration, that's for the organizations, not for individuals.
Yeah, that's for organizations, right? Exactly. Okay. And then, of course, if you want to volunteer, there's no charge for that, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay.
All right. Well, Luther, great. We'll have you come on again shortly before.
Hey, I'd like to come in there and do a live show or a couple of songs for you guys.
I'd love for you to come and bring your guitar with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to do that. Absolutely.
Okay, that's an open invitation.
Awesome.
Okay, great. I'll write a song for the occasion.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Luther.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Luther.
Appreciate it.
All right. Let's take a break.
And then we'll come with our next guest from Wayne State.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. There are payment plans available to help save your property. Visit our website at treasurer.waynecounty.com or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com for further information. We're here to help.
Dr. Michael Busuito. We spoke before.
All right, we are back on. We're back on the air, and we've got the doctor who's from the Board of Governors,
Dr. Michael Busuito from Wayne State University. Hey.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Good
we
morning,
all
everybody.
we
Well,
all alumni.
That's
Wayne
right.
State, that's
Well,
right.
He went to Wayne.
I went for 2 years. My first 2 years before I transferred to state. But yeah,
Oh, that was a mistake.
I
Great to
got
school.
my master's from Wayne.
better partying up at state, but I
I
like the education better at Wayne.
So I feel like I'm home here.
Well, you
I'm
are-
in friendly,
you are home.
friendly territory
Okay,
here.
especially with the news that you're about to share with the audience.
Well, you're selecting a new president. Am I correct?
Well, it's in the process right now. It's on schedule. You know, we have a lot of confidentiality clauses that we have to abide by right now. But all I can tell you is that the process has been very successful. It's on time. And hopefully within the next week, we'll be announcing a new president if everything goes as scheduled.
Can you give any hints in terms of local or somebody local or somebody?
No, nobody local.
Nobody local. And was it hard? Why? Some people may say, why not? Couldn't you find any local
Well,
talent, or you did a national search? And
We did a national search. We used a search firm, Wick Kiefer,
Uh-huh.
and we found people from all over the country. And we did entertain some CVs from local people. But I have to be honest with you, we wanted the best person for Wayne State, for this region at this time. And so it's not a local person.
and what do you think about the current president? Did he do time for him to go,
Well,
or
you
was
know,
it?
yeah, if you look at, Wayne State,
Yes,
He
absolutely.
got
It's
stayed
time
a
for him
little
to
too long.
go.
He the man who came
Absolutely.
to Denver.
And the board
and
was,
left.
you had a split board, you had all that drama going on. Yes, it was time for him to go.
Yeah.
Bye.
it's hard to run an organization like that with a split
Right.
board. And I think it's really, there's a lot of responsibility in the president to try to keep a board together. But if you look at, Wayne State is a Carnegie R1 research institution, which means that we're at the highest intensity of research for universities. And there's only 146 of those in the country. And 3 of them are in Michigan, University of Michigan, Michigan State, and Wayne State. And we're one of those. And if you look at
What does that mean, really? Explain.
the level of grants we get from the NIH, from private
Right.
grants, and the amount of research we do, the number of PhD students we turn out, the number of researchers we turn out. And like I said, we're at the absolute top level with Michigan and Michigan State.
If the board, I know you can't say, but is everybody that's on the board comfortable with where the search is going?
Yes,
great.
this I got to tell you, our board chair now is Mark Gaffney, who
Okay.
comes from
Union.
Union World.
Right.
I can't give him enough credit for what he's done to bring everybody together to make this a successful journey here, especially after what we've been through. But to answer your original question, at this level of university, R1 status, with the number of students we have and faculty, the average lifespan of a university president now is 5 to 6 years in this type of setting. And Dr. Wilson's been here 10 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and so, he's beyond his shelf life.
Time to
Right.
move on.
Right.
It's tough.
What about somebody, I love Wayne State, but you got some issues. Black graduation
Oh,
rate.
that's what I was getting ready to ask about.
Medical school
Retention.
issues. How are we gonna deal with that? How are we gonna get these black students in and out? Because a long history of people couldn't pass the reading, copy, all kind of stuff.
Couldn't pass the test, but they got rid of that test.
Yeah.
So if you look at, I believe the black population in the state of Michigan is 14.1%. Our population of black students is above that. We're at 14.5. University of Michigan, I think it's between 4 and 5%. So I think we're doing a great job in terms of trying to make minorities successful. I was at the Association of Governing Boards meeting. That's our governing institution for all the national universities who oversee us. And the question was asked at a plenary session. This is right before COVID. And what's the purpose? What's the purpose of the university existing? Why do we have universities? And the answer is to improve people's lives.
Right.
And we have to improve people's lives at all minority sectors.
Right.
And I think that nobody does that better than us in this state. And we're really high on what's called the social mobility index, meaning that at what quintile in the socioeconomic groups do we accept students, and where do they end up in 10 or 15 years? And we're number one in the state of Michigan.
Well, let me ask you.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was to say, Detroit is about 85% black,
That's
and
where I was going.
so the number when it's 14% compared to the University of Michigan is good, but it doesn't sound as great when you're in a black city.
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
Thanks, Allan.
You and I.
You and I are on the same page. And because it's predominantly black city, what plans do you have in terms of feeding into the public school system? Because you have Michigan, U of M, giving students who graduate from DPS money to go to school. What are you doing here?
We're working on that. I like to say Wayne State was Detroit when Detroit wasn't cool. And if you look around here now, Michigan has a storefront on Woodward Avenue.
Right.
Michigan State does Central. And we're really looking at that. But the one thing we have to be real careful about is Wayne State University is a state university.
Right.
It's not a city university. And we have to deal with the legislature. And we have to deal with the people on the west side and east side, north side of the state and so forth. And so we can't be just a city university, but I can tell you that we really interact with this city intimately in terms of trying to encourage Detroit public school students to look at us. Now, here's one of the problems is if it's a balancing act, because when I came on the board, the 6-year graduation rate for African-American students was only 7%. So that means you're taking all these students, you're letting them run up some debt,
Right.
and now they're not going to finish.
Right.
And how are you going to pay off the debt?
Right.
Now, under Dr. Wilson, he tripled it to 21%. It's even higher now. But one of the things that had to be done is we had to cut the number of people, of minorities we accepted. Because what we do that Michigan and Michigan State don't do is there are a lot of students we take a risk on. We take a chance on them. They maybe don't have the stellar credentials like what you see at Michigan and Michigan State, but we take a chance on these students and we gamble on them. And so our graduation rate is going to be smaller, but it's a fine balance. And we're doing everything we can to try to improve this city. If you look at, studies have been done, if you look at the evolution of burned out cities in the Midwest that are now recovering, and we're one of them. You guys remember, you guys old enough to remember we were like, the common denominator in these situations is that a major research university sits at the middle of it. And for us in Detroit, it's Wayne State University. And like I said, I appreciate, Michigan and Michigan State and Western and Central. Everybody be here down there now. But we're Detroit. Wayne State is Detroit, regardless of what you say. And if you look at our history, after the Civil War, there were 5 Civil War surgeons who returned to Detroit and were working at Harper Hospital. And they felt a need to teach their expertise and their skills to other physicians who were treating Civil War injuries. And what they did was they leased a few rooms in the north section of Harper Hospital to teach these other doctors. In 1868, they formally formed the Detroit Medical College, which then evolved into the School of Medicine, which then gave birth to Wayne State University. So it was a School of Medicine before it was ever Wayne State University.
Well, I was going to ask, the med school had some serious issues with leadership problems, and also there was some issues about how to service the community providing medical care. Tell us a little bit, give us an update on what's going on there.
Well, there was an attempt to, and I was a big part of trying to prevent it, to make us a part of the Ford hospital system. And Ford's a great system. They provide a great service to the community.
Right.
But we send our students to the Beaumont system, the Ascension system, the Ford system, the Veterans Hospital in St. Joe's, in addition to the DMC. And we didn't want to be considered that we were just a one hospital system medical school. And that's where the problems lied. And we're still out there, we're on all these systems. And we try to service all of them with our students. And to give you an example, like I said, it started right after the Civil War. When COVID hit, we partnered with Ford Motor Company, and our students, medical students, our physicians and our nurses and all our ancillary personnel they staffed the mobile units that went out into the community and took care of Detroit at the risk of their own health.
Right.
We were the very first ones in Michigan to do that. So since the Civil War, Wayne State has been servicing this city. We've been answering the call when we've needed, and I think we have a story to tell.
Yeah, I've been on the campus, and I was at Wayne State in the 80s. Clearly, there's been a influx of money that has come into the university because the university looks completely different than what it did back then, and even completely different than what it looked like 5 years ago. And my question to you, do you attribute that to your standing as one of 146 of the universities being the research university? Is that where that's coming from?
That's a big part of it, but I'll tell you another large part of it is young people want to live in urban centers now. And we have some of our students who've been accepted at U of M, they've been accepted in Michigan State, and they'll pick Wayne State because they want to live in a city. And they just love this urban setting. And we used to be a commuter school. You used to have 10% of kids living on campus.
You only had one dorm.
Exactly. So now if you go down the Anthony Wayne Drive, you see all these dorms we built.
Right.
And
Do you have enough housing now, or is
no.
there seems to be a shortage? Yeah.
We fill these things as fast as we build them. In fact, we contract with some apartments in the areas to provide housing for kids.
Well, I have a question, Michael. You know that Wayne State evolved from Detroit Board of Education.
That's correct.
Right.
DPS needs help. There's no question, man. We sitting here with a major research university, urban setting, and it came from DPS, and now it's like it's bleeding students. How can the university right now play a role in help reviving the public school system?
So you were the one who taught me the history, Adolph, of Cornelius Golightly, and how he was intimately involved in taking the school from DPS to Wayne State University and so forth. And I don't have a good reason why we're not more advanced with our relationship with Detroit Public Schools. I can tell you we're working on it now. We've got a changeover in our administration, and it's becoming a priority as this administration is changing over. And I expect there'll be another significant change after we name this new president. And I can promise you that's on the top of our priority list.
There are some schools that offer for seniors in high school to offer college classes. Does Wayne State offer that at this point?
We have, I believe it's called the Warrior Back program, where there are so many people we've identified out there, middle-aged and older, who have had college education but never got their degree.
Right.
And we offer them all kinds of incentives to come back. So to answer your question is yes.
Yeah, is that high school? Can I get a high school diploma and take courses at Wayne at the same time?
I believe you can, yes. And we have programs like what's called math core programs. Traditionally some of the minority students in the area have had problems with math. The instruction's probably been insufficient, and we provide all kinds of instruction for those students in the area. But we've not lived up to our potential from that standpoint. And I can tell you at every executive committee meeting, our chair, Mark Gaffney, will make a point of we have to infiltrate Detroit Public Schools. We have to target them. There's a whole series of students out there who would do great at Wayne State. We just have to make it more comfortable and bring them in.
So, two questions. One, of the 14.5% students, of minority students that you have at Wayne State, do you know how many are from Michigan, Detroit, and how many are from out of state? Because I see, again, when I've gone on campus, I see brown folks, but it's clear that they're not from here.
So I don't know the exact number, but I would venture to guess that well over 80% of them are from Detroit.
Okay.
And how many foreign students do you have?
That's a question that's hard to answer, because when COVID hit and the federal administration imposed all these rules on not letting foreigners over, especially it really impacted our Chinese students and our Indian students.
Wow.
It really drastically cut our numbers, but I can't give you the exact number.
Okay, I have a question. This is just, they had a vegetarian / kosher restaurant on campus there. Is that still open, or did that
I don't know.
not survive?
I don't know.
I used to go there and I'd see, I mean, it was kosher, but it was vegetarian, so I'd see a lot of foreign students who were vegetarian.
Lengel like food.
Most important thing.
Announcement day, Michael. Announcement date of the new president. What do you think?
I potentially within the next 6 days.
Oh.
We don't have a firm date set. Potentially late next week.
I know you can't say who it is, but can you give us the sex?
He can't say that.
Somebody's asking the question, are you the plastic surgeon guy?
Yes, that's my day job. I'm a plastic surgeon.
Oh, wow.
And where do you work out of?
So my office is at Big Beaver and I-75 in Troy,
Okay.
but I'm on staff at the Detroit Medical Center,
Okay.
at the Beaumont System and the Ascension System.
How is Detroit Medical Center? I mean, we know Sinai Grace, we hear some
It's bad
horror
news.
stories from there, and it's sort of a mixed bag in the DMC. I mean, what's your evaluation of DMC as a caregiver?
I got to tell you, I was born and raised in that system in my career, and it was always top notch. But I'm going to give you my opinion. It was always a not for profit.
Right.
And you know, I'm a Republican, and I believe in the free market and so forth. I don't believe that there's room for profit in healthcare. Period. So it got sold to Vanguard, which is for profit. It got sold to Tenet, which is for profit. And by definition, by definition, when you're for profit, your mission is to get a return on investment for your stockholders. Period.
Right.
Now, what do? I believe, no margin, no mission, but we teach medical students, we teach residents. We're the safety net system for all the poor people in this area who don't have insurance or have Medicaid.
Right.
We do research, and these things all cost money. They're money losers. And a for-profit system is just not set up to support that mission, but it's our mission of the society.
I'll tell you that from Deadline Detroit, we did a lot of stories on Beaumont, a nonprofit, and our perception was, I mean, they had a $2.5 billion surplus. By the end of COVID, they had a $3.5 billion surplus, and John Fox, the CEO, was just fattening the goose to sell it so they could merge and he would get a payoff of, we're trying to still find out if it's 10 million, $30 million. And he was laying off people during COVID and they had that surplus because he wanted the goose to be fat enough that they'd be attractive.
But
so that's a nonprofit, and his salary just kept rising, where he probably left with a $6-7 million salary.
But healthcare is a big issue. We're gonna have to deal with that. In closing,
I do have one question before we close. You said that you said plastic. I'm going to use cosmetic surgeon. How's business in the Detroit area? Do you have a lot of Detroiters? Because I see a lot of people who have different shapes now.
We're busy.
What's the most popular work that you're doing?
The BBL.
So I don't do those.
Oh, okay.
So we have two disciplines, cosmetic and reconstructive, and my practice is about half and half. And in my reconstructive, it's probably mostly breast reconstruction.
Uh-huh.
Is
that for cancer?
Yes.
Cancer
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
In my cosmetic, it's mostly breast augmentation and breast lifts and tummy tucks.
Well, I went to a reunion and a woman came up to me. I didn't know who she was because her whole face had changed.
And how about facelifts? Are those popular?
Yes, I'm doing a lot of facelifts. Yeah.
Wow.
They're very popular.
And what do you say to people? Do you ever tell people you don't need this? Why are you doing
No,
this?
they come in there because they want to pay and they want it.
So
How's he gonna make a living?
I don't do all the biopsies. What I do is, of the patients who come to me for cosmetic surgery, I turn down over half of them.
Oh, really?
I turn them down, over half of them. Of the half I turn down, 90% of them, they just have unreasonable expectations. What they think we can do, what we can really do, and I don't want to deal with unreasonable expectations.
Right.
The other 10% just have psychiatric issues. But I have to tell you, the percentage with psychiatric issues is going up since COVID.
Oh, yeah.
I believe
Okay.
that.
And when you say how can when you talk to somebody, you can evaluate them, and how does that work?
Well, I tell people I'm a psychiatrist with a scalpel. We have to really get into their brain and in their personal life. And
We're
find out what's
going
going
to
on.
have to get him back on.
Yeah,
I would love to do
yeah.
that.
We'll talk more about that. Yeah, it's interesting,
And
I'm
we're
sure.
waiting for the next week where we can talk about the new president.
Right.
And maybe you can join us by Zoom.
Oh, I would love
That'd be
to. I would
great.
love to do that. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Dr. Michael Busuito from Wayne State.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
The surgeon to the stars
My
and
pleasure.
to the common folks.
Right.
Michael, thank you very
My
much.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Really, and let's take a break.
All right.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. There are payment plans available to help save your property. Visit our website at treasurer.waynecounty.com or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com for further information. We're here to help.
Oh, yeah. I just talked to her
Oh,
the other
did
day.
you?
All right, we are back here in the studio. Vanessa, what say you, as they say on TV?
Well, I
So
thought that was a really good interview. I thought both of the interviews were really good.
yeah.
And you know what? I have to say this. You guys, y'all know y'all love me because I always turn the conversation. You are so serious all the time. You gotta put some little.
I'm not a serious person, if you know me. And my
So-
Walter Cronkite mask,
Right.
but no, I mean, Luther was my editor. I worked in the Lansing Bureau. He was one of the state editors, and Luther was great to work with. I really enjoyed working with him, and he reached out. He's promoting this Arise Detroit Day in the first Saturday in August, which is a great program. And again, to remind people, it's free. Organizations that sign up, they pay $50. They get T-shirts, they get whatever, and they pick their own projects. And
Yeah, what I would say about Luther is that he comes from a great pedigree. His family really work in the community. They are, government servants.
Damon
Damon
Keith, I covered the federal courthouse, and
Right.
so I knew Damon Keith.
And Terrence Keith. So, I mean,
So you know
it's
all
really
the
great.
Keiths, and I went
So-
to Michigan with Cecilia Keith, Damon Keith's daughter.
So,
yeah.
So, and the doctor, it was awesome.
See,
We could talk forever. He had
there's no
it looked like he
question.
had a good time.
I thought you was gonna, when he said he was Republican, I thought you was gonna try to cut into her.
No, I told you I respect
But-
all kinds, and I've been very honest with our audience about when I vote. I look at every name. I can't say that I vote straight party ticket. I'm not gonna lie and say that. I've never said that. So I can respect someone that's a Republican that's reasonable, and I can disrespect someone that's a Democrat that's unreasonable. I think you need to judge people based on who they are, and where they stand on the issues. This D and this R, for me, what difference does it make if you're not a good person?
Well, listen, when I was up at Michigan, at that first time I voted for Bill Milligan for governor, Myron Walls for attorney general. People didn't know Myron Walls was a black man.
Right.
In 1972. Then I voted for the human rights candidate for city council in Ann Arbor. And then for president, I voted for John Anderson, who was a Republican congressman out of Illinois, and he ran as an independent because ain't nowhere in the world I could vote for Nixon
Right,
or McGovern.
right.
I voted for McGovern. But it's interesting when you talk about, I mean, you're right. As long as people are reasonable, but we have this, let me play this little video. This is at a Nikki Haley rally this year, and trying to get your head around how people think. And just watch this. We saw this yesterday.
I voted for Trump, but I certainly will not be doing that again.
When did Trump lose your support?
The nail in the coffin for me with Donald Trump?
Let me guess. Charlottesville.
No.
But okay, let me
You're
guess.
not going to guess it.
Kids in cages.
Nope.
The insurrection, January 6th.
Nope.
Okay. Wait, hold on. First impeachment.
Nope.
Second impeachment.
Nope.
Okay. Inviting white supremacists over to Mar-a-Lago.
No, but criticizing DeSantis before his election.
Wouldn't have guessed it.
I was thinking about that, and it's a little harsh to use a Hitler analogy, but I could see, like, him interviewing somebody in Germany during Nazi Germany and say, "Excuse me, when was it that you were no longer supporting Hitler?" And he'll go, "Let me guess. Was it the 6 million Jews? No. Was it the this and that? No. It was his mustache. It just really bugged me."
Right.
And that's when we're listening to the rationale of people out there, and he lists all these things. January 6th, no, that didn't bother me. Charlottesville, when he said everybody, there's good people on both sides. When they're chanting Nazi slogans, and you say, yeah, there's some good folks in there too. And so it's America. I mean, like, even in the pride, the Hamtramck thing, I mean, the guy's right. We all have a right to do, and think whatever, but there's a limit to those rights. So
Right. I just think that, I mean, what you were just talking about, I just think that, like I said, I think it is incumbent upon us to get to know whoever it is that's running for office. What I think is interesting today is I know people who voted because I'm voting for this person because of the issue of abortion. They don't care about anything else. That's the issue. And as a politician,
sure.
the politicians have said, you know what? Let me figure out what the issues are. Let me stand on this side of the issue to give votes. Some people just vote for just because you at a single issue. I stand with you on that. Then I'm going to vote for you. And so
I know some Jewish people, look, in some, particularly in the Orthodox community, who decide that they're voting for Trump because they think he's going to be better for Israel, which I don't think he is better for Israel anyways. But everyone, as you say, there's abortion, there's whatever, gay marriage. Bush really played on that.
Before Uber, you go to New York or DC, and most of the cab drivers were African,
right?
And they wouldn't pick up black folks
because
they got here and they bought into the bullshit that you don't pick up African Americans. You can wear a suit. You can have $100 bills pinned to your jacket, and they won't pick you up.
Well, I'll tell you, when I was in D.C., there was a reporter, Hamil Harris, who's black, and he was with his two aunts, and they were on L Street, and I was standing nearby, and they were standing there trying to wave down a cab, and he said to his aunts, about picking up black people, and he called me over. He used to call me Lengel Dingle, but he'd say, "Hey, Lengel, come over here, man." He goes, "Help us get a cab," and I'd say within 10 seconds, a cab stopped, and he looked at them and said, "See, I told you."
Were you ever able to get a cab in New York? I wasn't able to get a cab in New York.
Well, you know what? If you're staying at a hotel, cabs out there,
right?
So you can
they
ride.
Can't
so
run
I got a cab from the hotel, but then when we were out shopping and everything, no.
You remember the medallions was worth a lot of money. Then Uber and Lyft came to the scene, and they was crying at the city council meeting, talking about they were losing business, they was killing themselves. And Al Sharpton and one of the council people, they gave him a history lesson. They gave him a history lesson. Right. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't feel for you. Right. All the shit that we done had to go through to get a cab, and now you still got some Uber folks who you could tell they used to be cab drivers. They see it and then they gone. You know what? Listen.
I have to say, I had an experience with an Uber driver, and clearly she was not an ex-cab driver because she didn't know where the heck she was going. We were just going from one side of downtown to the other. Cab drivers know all the back streets. There's an advantage to having someone that's experienced doing that.
We came to the end.
Oh, no, before we got to talk about this cashless system. We were supposed to talk about it today.
That's what
we
you
can do. That's why I kept doing the money.
No, we can go 5 minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, when we were in Europe, we experienced the cashless system and had a conversation with a cab driver who said that the people there in Europe, but they hate
They
the
didn't want-
cashless
right,
system.
yeah.
They hate the cashless system. So as you all know, that there was an ordinance passed here in the city of Detroit. And hopefully we'll be able to get that councilwoman on the show. I'm working on it, trying to get her on the show.
Callaway.
That, you know, says, hey, you guys are going to have to be able to accept cash. I agree totally, because you're talking about discrimination. You have people that are unbanked, right? They don't have bank accounts.
There's
You
a
have
high
people-
percentage in the city. that are-
Exactly. So I think it's
That's
I
why
think
you
it's
got
awesome.
check cash in places.
But let me say this, the same people who went to the city of Detroit and said, write me out a check, the Illiches, you go to the Fox Theater, it's a cashless system.
Everywhere,
And
the
that's a doggone
airports.
shame. So I wonder what they're going to do.
Plum
I wonder
Market,
what they're going to do.
they
But
hypocrites.
it's like that
but
at
you,
it's
but
like
if
that
you,
at
but
the
if,
Fox Theater, and like that at the Tiger
but,
Stadium.
but if you go to the airport, Plum Market takes cash.
Yes, but right over the one, I know the one on in the New Center area, because near Tech Town, they have turned to totally a cashless thing. But I've seen at the airport, I'm like, hey, pulling out money. They're like, no.
You ever go to High Grade?
Yeah.
The restaurant next door, the ham place.
I haven't been.
I
don't need ham.
But anyway, I went there. All they sell
Is
is
that
ham
good?
and yeah, whatever.
They have turkey.
No,
To the menu, man.
I went and got a ham sandwich, and I pulled out a credit card. He said, "We don't take credit cards."
Right.
Don't take cash.
Oh, I didn't have cash.
Yeah, there's
so he
no-
said, "Just come back." I went to the bank and came back. But he said, you didn't have to come back that fast. I said, you don't. He said, no, I don't take credit cards.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he said, because everybody don't have credit card, and I don't want to pay the fee.
Right,
So
right.
you got places that won't take.
But
the credit
that's
card. You
old
got people
school.
that won't take.
Right.
You got people that businesses that won't take American Express.
Right.
And and for you, you got Diners Club, right?
Yeah, Diners. Diners. What's the other ones? The whatever. But yeah, it's. I mean, they still, are places like I was with a group of friends in Southwest Detroit last night at a dive bar. Luckily, they are. It looks like a place that normally they would not take credit cards, but they did because.
And there's some places
anymore.
They don't take credit cards.
Listen, I
but they
believe in
got a
carrying
ATM,
cash.
They got a
Right, an
ATM.
ATM machine.
I believe in cash. Cash is king. I'm sorry, I believe in it.
But it's
So
like
you're
cash is
queen.
like.
Cash is queen, king, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. Well, we let's get her on
Yeah, working.
and let's make it happen.
Okay.
Okay. Your final thought.
Well, I've already said Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Monday is Juneteenth, so happy Juneteenth Day
We
to
need to
everyone.
get Chief Chef Hardy.
Oh.
We need to
Oh,
get
yeah.
him back on.
Okay.
get
Yeah.
some of that shrimp and grits again.
Whatever that Juneteenth meal that he's cooking, probably.
Yeah.
Talk about his new restaurant.
Right.
Okay.
So,
My thing is one of my peeves is that there are so many people who criticize the indictment of Trump, saying it's a waste and stuff like that. If you read the indictment, you could go online anywhere and read it. You'll see it's a pretty damning thing. Even Bill Barr, the former Attorney General, has said that it's quite damning and it's right. And look, in the end, Trump. It doesn't matter. Even if he knowingly took documents that he knows he shouldn't have, if he would have just handed them back. But he is, if you read that indictment.
He has a beautiful mind.
Yeah, and he's quoting. He's perfect.
He has a beautiful mind.
It was a perfect theft of documents.
My beautiful mind.
right.
But anyways,
My final thought, I just want to thank Luther King from Arise Detroit, Michael
Absolutely.
Busuito, Dr.
Yeah.
Michael Busuito, the Wayne State Board of Governors. That was great. Both of them were great interviews.
Yeah.
And you want to hear Luther.
Oh,
First time I saw Luther, I fell out laughing because I'm like,
He's bad.
Okay,
He's bad. He's
Bad
bad.
man Luther.
He's bad.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long time now.
But you know what? I have to give his props. When the late Coleman Young passed away, one of his cousins was at the hospital, called me and said, you know, the mayor's gone. So I called one of the radio stations. They were on there. They said, "Oh, I got people down at the hospital. He's making a recovery." I said, "He did." So anyway, I called Luther. I said, "Luther," I said, "the mayor passed away. They had half a day before everybody, but he took my word. He said, well, you know, these other media people, we that's not what we hear." Like,
well, you know, when Benny Napoleon was sick and then he was in the hospital and they put him on a ventilator on Deadline Detroit, we said, you know, he's taking a turn for the worse. And his daughter got really mad and put out a statement on Facebook saying, no, they're just putting it on to help him breathe better. Well, if you need assistance breathing, and then when he was dead or about like minutes away, she got mad that people were saying that he's passing, or after he had passed, and she was still coming out, and
Well, maybe that was her.
Agree.
Yeah, that was probably her way of not being able to. She wasn't accepting
denial,
that.
right?
She
Yeah.
does.
No, I'm not faulting. I mean, she's a nice person.
That's a bit different from what you experienced, which is, you know,
right. But
yeah.
Luther,
when you tell folks, he did.
It's
the
like
king is dead.
Adolph. It's like when I told you the answers in 7th grade.
I wanted to believe it.
I said, can I believe this white boy? We had a 50. What happened was I had Mrs. Turner, social studies, first hour. She gives us 50 true and false answer, tests.
Right.
And then at the end, we hand it. She says, look, the answers are all true, but don't tell the other classes because I'm giving the same test. So I see Adolph in the hallway and I go, all true. And he's like, do I believe this white boy? Or
So he set me up.
Right.
But he was right. I got the highest grade out of all the classes. But anyway, we want to thank our audience. Back next week
Marvin.
From a location to be announced.
Yeah.
I like the hotel.
Yeah,
Lost
great.
Hotel.
Yeah.
Come down there. They're doing a renovation. David Tinsley, assistant general manager, great guy. He got a lot of stuff going on.
Thanks,
here.
Dave.
All right, we're
See you next
ready
week.
to go.